All right, good morning, YouTube. Back at you on a Tuesday. Thanks for dropping in, checking us out. The weather starting off with winter's full bore. It ain't going away. It's hanging out there, as you can see, full on over the Midwest and Northeast. Hopefully you're getting off a little bit better wherever you are. We are enjoying spring weather out here. That's for sure. It was a little chillier yesterday, in the 60s. It wasn't 70s yesterday. But we're supposed to get a good dose of spring this weekend with some rain. Give it a minute here, see who drops in. All right. 01 Crom, how you doing? I hear you got some snow to dig out of. I think we're going to start off here with some video of your area. 5 degrees, nice. Even better. All right. So with that large dose of snow coming, let's pop over here. This is actually out of Bozeman, Crom. So here's where the storm's coming. And in their annoying fashion, the Weather Channel still calls things by a name. They're calling this one Winter Storm Wilbur. Remember Mr. Ed Wilbur? I don't know who. Most of you guys in the side chat probably watched Mr. Ed, right? I mean, that was our parents' generation. We saw it in the reruns. So there comes the snow, folks. It is not a joking. Big swath of 18 inches kicking in there. Nothing to laugh at all. So be prepared. Winter's not going away for you folks at all. I feel for you. I'm going to actually get some work done, and you guys are going to be digging out of snow. Hey, good morning, Walter Davis. How you doing? Yeah, Crom, they're saying it was 8 inches there in Bozeman. It sounded like on that video that they got. Angel is you just going on zero ops. You're 24/7 now, Angel. You just do chat after chat after chat. You're hitting up the Germans' chats, Zero Dark 30, Tony's chat, and now you're just rolling in here. Or is this you're going to bed now? This your go to bed chat. ZPD, how you doing? You don't have any precept yet? It's got to be coming. You're just in that band in the middle. Good morning, Barry. Yeah, we're clear out here for the most part. It looks like we're going to be dry for a while. Stan, the ground has started thawing? Really? All right. Welcome, fellas. Welcome to the Tuesday. But yeah, that whole groundhog thing, I think, was right this year. It hit us hard with some winter. Overall, you got to figure that's going from Montana all the way down to Virginia with a good dose of snow. Something to look forward for the rest of the week as that rolls through. Let me just watch the video on that. So first we'll catch up with our favorite story of the Migrant Caravan rolling through Mexico. Now, this flashed over the rails last night. This is from BuzzFeed at 11:22 p.m., which I believe is East Coast time. I don't know that it adapts it for West, but I did hear it before I went to bed, so it had to be 8:22 or so West Coast when I heard it. So they were the first to say that Mexico is going to break up the caravan, do this and that, provide sanctuary, help people out. And whatnot. But the organizers aren't happy with that. And a lot of people are going to continue north, they're saying. Now, this is still developing. This is overnight. So Mexico's National Institute of Immigration, it plans to disband the caravan of Central American migrants that's already been in Mexico for 9 days. They expect some to continue north, and they estimate most of them will seek asylum or some type of protection in the U.S. So here, one of the organizers, Alex Mincing. Who is Alex Mincing? There's volunteers that organize the caravan. Gina Garibo, one of the organizers from Pueblos Sin Fronteras, the volunteer group that organized the caravan. Once again, like we were talking about yesterday, this is an organized invasion. It's a planned agenda, still yet to be fully understood, but they are not, while they're calling this Mexican action a victory for the caravan, since they persuaded the Mexican government to allow caravan members to apply for asylum in Mexico. Don't be fooled. The government isn't disbanding it. It's conceding its participants' rights to apply for asylum. I don't know that anybody was going to deny their right to apply for asylum. The question was why Mexico was allowing this herd basically to just cross through the country with no form of, without being checked. Be interesting to see if there was any video of them crossing Mexico's southern border. Hundreds are expected to accept Mexico's offer to allow the most vulnerable of them to stay. But of course, the big prize is the United States, right? That's where that's where everybody wants to go, right? Everyone else will have to petition the Mexican government to stay in the country or they will be ordered to leave. If they don't receive a humanitarian visa, they will expect to leave Mexico within 10 days or apply for permission to remain in the country for 30 days. And they can file for longer extensions after that. Permission does not allow immigrants to travel to the U.S. border, although they will be able to move around Mexico freely, of course. On down, so this is in links in the description box. It's a pretty long article. Let's close it out with so this all stems from apparently the swearing in of the Honduran president Juan Orlando Hernandez after a highly contested election last year. 22 civilians and 1 police officer were killed in protests that followed the swearing in. People were being arbitrarily detained by Honduran authorities, et cetera, et cetera. And that's all of a sudden a humanitarian crisis, they're saying. So Honduras is on the verge of civil war, maybe? Maybe not. People were just unhappy with this dude. And then they started leaving. The organization, the whatever people that organize this thing, says the caravan is a necessary mechanism to help thousands of Central Americans fleeing violence, poverty, and oppression travel through Mexico safely. In addition to hiding from immigration authorities, migrants have to worry about being attacked or extorted by gangs and cartels. I wonder. But this is to help them travel through Mexico safely. Why don't they just stay in Mexico if they're safe? More to follow on that, folks. There's an agenda afoot, as we know. So a lot of the U.S. press, what you'll see today, I've looked at several headlines. They're all saying that the caravan is taking a break. They don't mention the asylum side of getting asylum in Mexico, from what I've seen so far in the links I saw. So it's a different they're putting a spin on it, if you will. Not that they would ever do that. It's halted its march for a rest spot in a sports field in southern Mexico, as of this picture right here, I guess. So this is the Washington Post. So their spin has nothing to do with what we just read, which came out first thing last night. So here they do say they stopped in Oaxaca, however you say those names with the X in them in Spanish, state at the field where they are getting advice on filing for transit or humanitarian visas in Mexico. Many took refuge from the sun, yada yada. A group of a couple hundred men did break off from the march Sunday, hopping a freight train north, probably with hopes of trying to enter the U.S. Well, there's your invasion force right there, a couple hundred men. So there's people already probably at the border if they were on a train. This is also in the links below. This is the Washington Post article. Definitely a different spin on the story. That saying that a couple hundred men already hopped a train out of that group would be the biggest thing that would raise my eyebrows if I was concerned. We'll go on the side chat, see what you guys are talking about. All right. Good morning, Robert. How you doing? Welcome to the chat. Trump, well, Angel R, I think we've said that for a long time. Trump is part of the show. And who was it? Cyril One Cromie is telling his followers what they want to hear. Hey, Food Forest, how you doing? Good morning. All right. We'll bounce back over. So that's all. Links are in the description box below. Go check them out. if you want to look into it. Some stats here at the bottom. Mexico granted 3,223 asylum requests in 2016, and 9,626 requests filed last year are under review or have been accepted. All right. So something to look into. We've kind of fallen off looking at the markets, and I was talking about how they were just going to trend sideways for a while they were figuring out what they're going to do from this interest rates. In the last couple of days, they've been dropping precipitously. As we've had, we broke 26,000 way back there last year sometime, and now we're back down in the 23,000 range. And so what's really going on would be the question. And everything I can tell, it's all directly tied to the interest rate decisions that have come out. And this article is going to bounce around about all the different share spikes, shares and everything else, but also they're tying it still to the trade war, supposedly. But that interest rate decision is directly related, I believe. Because all these stocks like Facebook and Alphabet and Netflix that are all declining, what do they have to do with this trade war? Steel, aluminum, pork, does that really affect their business? That's something to think about when you're having losses across the board on these big technology stocks in particular. But no conclusions in this article, but just continue to watch. It dropped over 700 points yesterday before it bounced up to only lose like 400 and something, putting it down in the 23,000 range. And continue to see what they have there. That'll be in this description box below as well. Hey, Stefan, guten Morgen. Thanks for dropping by. Hope things are good over there. We saw that in Tony's chat. They were talking about that knife attack or machete fight or whatever they were having over there in Duisburg. I saw in Tony's chat. That was some crazy stuff. Here was an interesting article, and this was actually in CNBC, and what I really am trying to figure out is why they would post this article now, because there has to be a purpose behind this. So it's talking about nations that have no standing military, which if we were adhering to the organization of our republic, we wouldn't have a standing army either at the federal level. There are 36 nations that do not have a standing military force. But in general, they're stating that most of these places, their national police act as their military forces de facto. So many of them rely on other countries and international groups to provide their defense. Switzerland and Austria agree to provide collective defense of Liechtenstein, for instance. So obviously these are usually much smaller countries. Spain and France protect Andorra. Vanuatu's mobile force for the public forces of Costa Rica are responsible for protecting their nation's borders. So here they are listed. There's a list of them, all obviously smaller, usually islands, a lot of islands. Greenland, interestingly. Iceland does not have a standing military. Kosovo. I don't think anybody would expect to see that one. A lot of the Caribbean countries, etc. Monaco. But I was interested in why I wonder they would come out with this article right now. What it is kind of odd. I've never seen this article, and there's no analysis of it. It's just, hey, here's 36 nations. They don't have a standing military. It's just kind of odd to put it, and it's literally on the front. It wasn't a deep scroll to get down to that article at the time I clicked on it, but of course they've refreshed to see how far down I can get to it. It's maybe, and of course it's been pushed down since oh, there it is. So 3/4 of the way down. It was an interesting story. Any comments from the side chat on that? It's in the description box. You could go all day of analyzing this article and about the budgetary concerns and everything else that goes with that. But they just throw it out there with no analysis on CNBC. So that's what got my interest even more so, was like, why now? And it's just an odd compilation of 36 countries listed, essentially. It doesn't. CNBC usually puts at least some articles that have some stats behind them and like how it ties into money. This is not at all on this one. Something's afoot. I don't know what it is. So that's just my curiosity getting the best of me there. What's going on here in the side chat? You guys are all over the place. We're not sniffing no condoms, Stan. Oh, goodness. You guys are off the rails out there. You guys, okay. Catch up here. Interesting point. Food Force says Chinese ships of migrants from China might be coming when they start running out of water and food. But they'll be easy to find with ships out in the middle of the ocean. A lot easier to turn around if we ever have the cojones to go do such a thing. Stan says Canada hasn't sent them back in decades. Too big of a bleeding heart. Right? All right, moving on. I did have a zero hedge that tied into the migrant thing, but dang, that's worn out. Oh, that doesn't help. But tying in with possible actions that could be taken if this migrant thing doesn't get sorted out, always comes back to money, right? And that maybe Mexico is taking action because of threats on ending some aid, especially to Mexico. The NAFTA agreements are a huge impact on Mexico, plus the impacts when we talk about the foreign aid down to Guatemala, Honduras, places like that, that cause the conditions for all these people to leave, which if you ended your aid, it wouldn't help that situation. You're punishing the government technically for something that they apparently don't care about, because they don't care that the people leave. They kind of want them to in a large respect because they're their opposition. It's a no-win situation potentially, but they do want that money. They do want that money. But that link's in the description box. This was early this morning. Trump tweeted out that the cash cow NAFTA is in play, as is foreign aid to Honduras and other countries that allow this to happen. So that was after we heard the news about the break, but putting more meat behind that a little bit, I guess you'd say. So as we're wrapping it up, I did want to throw out another article that I had seen that relates to around here. Our gas prices hit $3 for the first time since September of 2015. We've been in the $2.50 range for a long time, and usually this time of year is when we get the spike from the transition to California gas, because they do the additive to their spring gas and we get sucked into that, and our gas bumps up in the springtime when they're converting the refineries and everything. But I didn't realize it had been that long since we hit $3. Most of this is in Vegas. Up here, well, in Reno, I saw some for $3, but we're around $2.75. But what's the signs for that? That's some inflationary signs. For us, it's concerning because nobody wants to pay $3 for gas. So some anecdotal story from here that caught my attention that we haven't. It's probably been a little bit longer than that for actually up here in northern Nevada, because a lot of that price is based upon Vegas price. So that's about it for today, folks. My inside chat got anything else you want to throw out there? Canadians are out there. M Long's got 240 in gas. I guess that's 240, not 240 degrees, not 240 inches of snow. I imagine that's $2.40 for gas. 298 for Barrie in Washington. 285 out east. And Crom hasn't gotten gas in months. That's awesome. That's the way to live right there. Not having to go get it. And Angel living really 348 in Florida. Wow. Is there a large local gas tax in Miami, Angel, or is that kind of? I mean, I would imagine northern Florida is not quite that expensive. That's above California. It's probably California price. LA is probably around 350 or so. Oh, premium nobody buys premium, Angel. Come on. All right, fellas. If nobody's got anything else to throw in there, we're going to cut it. Watch out for the snow coming your way out there. See you later, Food Forest. Thanks for coming in. Everybody's car needs a little bit of gas, right? Apparently, Crom was our source. That's why prices are going up. Loss of supply. All right, y'all have a good Tuesday. Live free.